Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're actually unpacking the very architecture of fraud. And to really get how scams work, we're going to look at one of the oldest stories ever told, but, with a pretty surprising psychological twist. Whether you look at the story as history, theology, or just a really powerful moral allegory, the blueprint of manipulation we're about to explore is a literal masterclass in human vulnerability. All right, let's dive right in. So think about this for a second. What was the absolute first scam in human history? I mean, when you hear the word scam, your brain probably instantly jumps to, a shady email asking for gift cards, or maybe a slick crypto rug pull. But we really need to rethink our assumptions about when and how the very first con actually went down.
Because the truth is, the first scam didn't involve any modern financial tools. It wasn't about money at all. There were no banks, no credit cards, no internet, definitely no stock markets, and no corporations. This ultimate deception happened literally thousands of years before the concept of currency was even a thing. So you kind of have to ask, if a scam doesn't actually require money, what exactly is it?
Part 1. The Anatomy of a Scam. The Universal Formula.
Modern frauds, your Ponzi schemes, your fake crypto offerings, phishing attacks, they all share a deeply ancient DNA. The process is simple, but it's devastating. Step 1, an attractive promise is made. Step 2, the victim believes it. Step 3, the true risk is completely concealed. And Step 4, the victim pays the price. This is the core engine of literally every scam in existence. And as we're going to see, it's the exact blueprint we can apply to the Garden of Eden.
Part 2. The baseline in finding the perfect mark.
To understand a scam, you really have to understand the target, right? Or, in con artist terms, the mark. In the Garden of Eden, we find the ultimate baseline. Adam and Eve had everything. No poverty, no hunger, zero crime. There was literally only one rule. Just a single boundary to test human trust. And that was regarding the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They were told explicitly, do not eat from it. It was a flawless system. But to a hacker, a single boundary is just a massive opportunity.
Part 3. The Approach. Enter the Master of Manipulation.
In this allegory, the serpent is not some monster using brute physical force to get what it wants. No, its primary weapon is persuasion. The whole deception begins with a really simple question. Did God really say you must not eat from that tree? Notice that. The very first scam didn't start with a blatant, outrageous lie. It started by just carefully manufacturing a little bit of doubt. The scammer subtly shifts the victim's perspective to question the very reality they previously trusted. And it's wild how the serpent's pitch maps perfectly to modern fraud. The serpent promises, you will not surely die, so effectively zero risk, and you will become like God, massive returns. Today, a slick crypto scammer is offering the exact same thing. Zero risk, guaranteed massive returns. The playbook literally hasn't changed in thousands of years. These ancient promises perfectly mirror the tactics used by financial hackers today.
It's the ultimate scammer's toolkit. You promise extraordinary rewards, you completely hide the risks, you create intense urgency, and you appeal directly to emotion over reason. Think about it. Have you ever clicked a link or, say, considered a sketchy investment because it triggered those exact emotions? The excitement of a massive reward just completely blindfolds your logical brain.
Part 4. The Transaction and Suspending Critical Thought.
Once that setup is complete, critical thinking just vanishes. The fruit appeared beautiful and desirable. Eve's focus was entirely channeled into what could be gained, right? The promise of ultimate knowledge, all while the true consequences remain totally hidden from view. This is that exact moment in modern fraud where the victim is so completely mesmerized by the flashing lights of the reward that the devastating cost is just ignored, until it's far, far too late.
Part 5. The Fall. The True Cost of Deception.
And too late always arrives. The very moment the transaction happens, those promised gains, they vanish into thin air. The consequences are immediate. There's an awareness of nakedness and vulnerability. For the very first time, fear enters the picture. And most importantly, trust is fundamentally broken. Whether you view this literally or symbolically, these consequences perfectly illustrate how a single deceptive decision instantly shatters your security and destroys trust in your environment.
Part 6. Modern Fraud and the Psychology of the Con.
Now, technology has obviously evolved from forbidden fruit to, phishing emails and identity theft. But human vulnerability remains exactly the same. We are still the exact same marks. Modern fraud researchers have pinpointed our exact weak spots. We instinctively trust familiar voices, we believe what we want to believe, we always want the easy way out, right? Greed actively reduces our caution, fear actively reduces our logic, and that manufactured urgency, it just prevents us from thinking at all. Scammers expertly exploit these natural, hardwired tendencies to bypass our defenses entirely.
So here is the absolute ultimate takeaway. Every single successful scam begins by convincing you to willingly suspend your critical thinking. It's never really about brute force. It is always about getting you to turn off your brain. And that is exactly why education and awareness, like just analyzing these concepts together right now in this explainer, are our absolute strongest defenses against these ancient psychological traps.
Part 7. Defending Your Wealth. Lessons from Modern Life.
So how do we actually apply these ancient lessons today to protect our own assets? Number 1, if it sounds too good to be true, trust me, it absolutely is. Number 2, always question extraordinary promises. Remember that serpent's pitch. Number 3, never ever make financial decisions under pressure. Urgency is the literal enemy of logic. And number 4, verify before acting. You can use these 4 steps as your modern shield against the manufactured urgency and the impossible investment returns that flood our inboxes every single day.
Because when it really comes down to it, your number one greatest financial asset isn't your bank account balance, it's not your stock portfolio or your real estate, no way. It is your critical thinking, your ability to critically analyze information, to ask the tough questions, and to resist the temptation of a shortcut. That is the only thing that will actually keep your wealth safe.
Knowledge really is the absolute best investment you can make to protect yourself today. Understanding these timeless patterns, recognizing exactly how doubt is manufactured and how greed is weaponized, that is the key to modern self-defense.
The tactics have totally changed over the millennia, but human psychology hasn't budged. The serpent's pitch is still out there, it's just dressed up in modern clothes. So, I have to ask you, are your critical thinking skills ready for the next perfect offer? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your minds sharp, stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.